Hey guys, StevieWunderKid here, and in this video we're going to be doing a drift test and tune on the brand new Albany V-STR sports car that was just added to GTA Online as part of the Diamond Casino Heist DLC. So the Albany V-STR is heavily based off of the third generation Cadillac CTS-V and can be purchased for $1.285 million on Legendary Motorsport. After going all in with the drift upgrades, you're looking at a total cost of around $1.4 to $1.5 million. So already right out of the box, this car is pretty pricey. So going into the setup for drifting, it is pretty similar to the other cars I've tested as part of this update. Really the main things you want to focus on are power upgrades. So do the engine, the transmission, and the turbo upgrades, as many as you've unlocked, to make sure that you maximize the car's power output. The next thing we're going to do is we're not going to apply any sort of spoiler upgrade. I know that it comes stock with a spoiler, but any upgrade or any change to that spoiler will actually increase the car's traction. And because we want to drift it, we're not going to want to have that increased traction. Also, in case you guys were wondering, you cannot remove the spoiler on this car. Even though it comes factory with a spoiler and some spoiler options remove that factory ducktail, you cannot do the glitch to remove it, which kind of stinks, but it is whatever. Now moving into suspension and wheel upgrades, you can pretty much do whatever you want here because the car cannot be manually lowered or stance as some people like to call it, so you're not going to feel any sort of exaggerated effect from running a certain type of suspension or a certain tire combination. So pretty much you can do whatever you want here, whatever's down to your personal preference and whatever aligns with the stance or the look that you're going for. So as you guys can see in the background, I went for a sort of Falcon tire style drift build, specifically with the livery as well as some other aero bits. So I upgraded the hood and did some side skirts, upgraded bumper with the front splitter as well. So yeah, I did go for the Falcon tire style livery. There is currently no color in the game that's a perfect match with that livery, so I actually had to use a crew color. So if you guys are wondering, I used the crew color from Black Sheep TV's Drift Community crew. So if you want to get that accurate crew color match, then you can hop in his crew and get that crew color because it is pretty spot on. In addition, if you guys are interested in applying any sort of armor upgrades that might serve you well, because it can't be manually lowered, it really won't make much of a difference for drifting specifically. But again, if you want to use it for other things, then armor might help you out. Also with brakes, I chose not to upgrade the brakes at all, but you can do it if you want to use it as more of a track car. In my personal opinion, since I actually used left foot braking quite a bit with this car and drifting and engaging the mid-drive speed boost, I don't want the brakes to be super grabby and to kill the drift every time I use them. But if you guys prefer upgrading the brakes, if you're going to use it for more than just drifting, then I would definitely recommend that you do that if you want to. So as you guys can see on screen right now, I'm attempting to stance the car using both standard methods, the first of which is shooting the wheel, and the second is kind of shooting on the bottom of the quarter panel or the bottom of the front fenders, and both methods, as you will see, don't work. The car shakes around a lot, so it is kind of hard to tell, but ultimately the car doesn't drop one bit. Notice that I am not running bulletproof tires with this build, technically because of the fact that it can't be manually lowered. If you guys really want to run bulletproof tires, if you're going to use it in heists or missions or things like that, you can definitely do that and it really won't make an impact here. So kind of getting into the car's driftability, I drifted this car for about an hour or so before I started recording to really get used to it, and my initial thought, which has kind of stuck with me since, is that this car feels like a decent middle ground between a car like the Lampadati Komoda and another like the Shafter V12. So I feel like it's right in between those two cars in that it feels a little bit more planted like the Komoda, but the back end feels a little bit looser like the Shafter V12. And I figured that I would use those two cars as comparison because they're both really large four-door cars, and I feel like the V-STR is kind of right in the middle of those. So because of that, low speed drifts are pretty easy to accomplish. You just need to make sure you tap the handbrake consistently to keep the power on. You should be able to drift around single points or do Gymkhana style drifts pretty easily. However, when it comes to higher speed drifts, you need to be pretty aggressive when you're driving it. As I said before, it still does feel a little bit more planted like the Komoda, which means that you do need to be pretty aggressive in terms of entry speed and angle. The mid-drive speed boost is pretty strong, but you need to time it right to carry the car all the way through a corner. But if you time it correctly and if you do it consistently, you should be good to go. Now, as with the other cars as part of this update that cannot be manually lowered, you also will benefit from tapping the regular brakes as well as the handbrake when you're engaging the mid-drive speed boost. Now this is kind of the method for doing the mid-drive speed boost in all-wheel drive cars, but for these rear-wheel drive cars it does help quite a bit and makes the mid-drive speed boost just a little bit more repeatable, and it also helps the car from picking up too much speed and upshifting. This is pretty bad with the V-STR because it is very powerful. It will want to straighten out on you, so using the brakes will actually help. It'll not only allow you to hit the mid-drive speed boost more consistently, but it'll also help you from picking up too much much speed and upshifting or straightening out. So overall, I can't recommend you guys buy this car specifically for drifting. There's way better value that you can get with buying other cars specifically for drifting purposes. However, as a car that you can use for a heist car and a street car while still having decent driftability as well as customization, this is a pretty cool car, and I definitely think this is better value than a car like the Lampadati Komodo, which costs quite a bit more. As covered a little bit in my discussion of this car's driftability, you can drift it at high speeds, however it will take a little bit of work to be able to repeat that mid-drive speed boost, but low speed drifts are a breeze. So yeah, overall, driftability wise, I'm going to give this car a 7.5 out of 10. It does take a little bit of work to get used to, and this car could massively benefit from being able to be manually lowered or stanced, but unfortunately, because of whatever handling attributes this car has been given, you cannot do that. I feel like it would benefit a lot from it because it shows that it is a promising drift car already, but if that were a thing, this car would drift exponentially better. Overall though, I believe this is still a decently fun car, and if you guys have the money and you're interested in a car like this, I definitely recommend you guys put this in your garage. If you guys watched all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you guys for watching. I know that I haven't done a commentary like this in a while, mainly because of the fact that I haven't had a really decent mic to work with, and a lot of the times when I do those voiceovers, it requires a lot of work in post-production to get them sounding correctly. But I actually have a new mic now, so hopefully the commentary frequency on my channel will increase. But overall though, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.